Right, and continuing sort of our journey throughout the season, and we spoke about George, but we've got to seem to have a history now over the last couple of seasons with Dylan Berry and Glenn McConnell, Francis Clark coming back, Shay Cooper, and we were talking just before we started to record that this season Jake Berger came in, Callum Tripp, Joe McNamara in goal, which people sort of forgot about the importance he had. They all had a big impact. How important is it, John, to get the youngsters in?
It supplements the squad, especially if you've got injuries. I mean, we put in place here, and that was part of the philosophy of the club, to put the structures in, and we've got a good scouting structure that Alan Clark heads up now, that we've got good relationships with a number of the pro clubs, but we have to do our homework and identify and watch these under 8, under 21 games and see whether they're ready. The managers, we'll have a chat, we'll go through and we can have a look at them, and then we'll bring them in. So, and that started last year, and that's why I think if you do your homework right and get the right ones in, and they've got to fit in with the team as well, and in positions that you want. And is a risk? There's a small amount of risk. Depends on what the dressing room's like that you've got, and the style of football helps, and the way we play football will help them, because most academy footballers are taught to play the way we play from a football. So it suits from that perspective, but then they can handle the men's game of football with it as well, and that's why we were successful with the players you named last year and the ones that have come in this year. So if we can do that and add them and bring them in, the key thing is to bring them at the right time, whether it's a season-long loan or whether you have an injury, or whether we need to look at adding something or strengthening as the season progresses. And I think over the last 2 seasons that the loan market has worked really well.
Who stood out for you out of those youngsters, Tom?
I think McNamara did well. You could tell straight away that he'd been at City Football Group, at Man City. We were on the ball, just brilliant, and important time of the season, as you said, and obviously with MJ, who we all know so reliable over the years here. I think he big boots to fill, but he did well.
And what role do you have to play as captain with these youngsters coming in? As a mature member of the... I was going to say.
I'll take older brother.
Older brother, yes, of course. Yeah.
It's not a big one, to be honest. Like, he's just obviously create an environment that people feel comfortable in, and then it's up to them really where they take it. It's not a difficult changing room to come into, to be honest. The lads will welcome you. It's what you do with that sort of counts. It's actually a nice place to figure out, maybe for a young person, where they're at. And I've obviously seen a lot of young players. I quite like watching lads sink or swim in a way. Like it's quite like it's an eye opener for young players when they come. It's
the nature of the profession, I suppose.
You come into this environment, and I'm sure many of them think that they're going to be better than the level, and they quickly realise that the level's very, very good. And then you find out a little bit about people. Which is the reason why George did very well. I think obviously Jake and Aidan coming at the latter part of the season did very well. Don't work out for everybody, but that's the nature of the game, really.
Yeah. Now, as we come into sort of towards the end, the last part of the season, we spoke about the Maidstone game being a benchmark at that start for this good run of form, and then perhaps the Maidstone game and the Weston-super-Mare game being sort of the end of that great run. What could we put our finger on why we didn't sort of carry it through to the very end? John, do you want to start us off with that? I mean, it's a hard question, I know, but it must be a frustrating one. Something that must have gone round through your mind many, many times.
Yeah, always you look back and you analyse the whole season where it went. And it's not just that. The last bit is where obviously the focus is, but you can go back to the start of the season that we obviously won the first game, and then we had a little bit of blip, and then September was really good, not conceding a goal, got to the Chelmsford game and won that, and then had 3/4 of the back line all injured in the same game, and it went sort of turned the season around. Joe came in then, and obviously his partnerships are key, and Joe can tell you what it's like playing at the back there. You need continuity and partnership. So we managed to stay like Christmas, and then the momentum carried on. We got the run going, and the Western, I think you got into the playoffs again after a little stall at Bath, but the reaction was good, and we keep saying bounce straight back. And then realistically, whether take the ball eye off the ball, I don't think so. The Truro game at home is, all the games I've looked back, we should have won. And it's all right, you can say it, but they're all mistakes that we've made collectively as a team. The goals, and at the other end as well, we created chances that we should have scored as well. And you put those two together is why we've lost games. If you can't keep clean sheets, even though we kept 11 in the season, at the wrong time that we conceded poor goals. And you only got to win one or two of those games, and that was the difference. The full 5 points short in the end, and probably five wins short, and you're where you should be. And those wins are at home, and I think people have touched on it. We've lost 11 games at home.
From the fans' point of view, though, expectations were still there, and there was optimism still there, wasn't there, right the way through?
Right throughout the season, yeah. Well, other than maybe October, going back to October, November, maybe not so much. But then, as we've gone through the season,
And even in the last games, like Good Friday here, there was optimism.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we did think that after the highs of the playoffs last year and get into the final, obviously we all wanted that again, and we did think, you're always looking at the other results when you're here at 3 o'clock. But yeah, we did think there definitely was optimism that we could do it again. At least get there. Yeah,
and Joe, coming from obviously your pro background as well, and then playing in front of the crowds here, it must be nice to have that buzz at this level.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's a great club. I know there's bigger clubs around, like the Lutons and the Watfords or whatever, but it's obviously a certain vibe in St Albans that people come and support the football club. It's really cool. Yeah. And most clubs at these levels are quite big in the community, and that sort of feels like what this is. As players, we sort of get that, and obviously when people turn up, I think the average gate might have been about 1600?
Just under 1700, and that includes wet Tuesday nights.
Yeah, that's amazing for this level. Genuinely, even for the level above, that would be really, really good. The chairman actually ran me through some of the stuff yesterday about the numbers and the growth of the club, and yeah, for players that's great because the atmosphere in which you play, and it does help obviously people's experience. It's not just about football; it's about everything that comes with that, and a match day experience, and the away support. Obviously, the guys who travel the south of the country to follow the team. It's pretty amazing, really, when you think about it. And obviously, I think the guys are quite conscious that after games, especially away games, that we'd like to thank people, regardless of result, for their effort in coming to support us. You get able to be closer to supporters to thank them, and than what you would maybe on if there's 2,000 away fans or whatever. You can't really obviously shake everyone's hand, but it's a nice club.
Yeah, good, excellent. I mean, Lawrence, I was just saying, what a compliment, what a compliment.
I've signed a deal now, so.
The pen to paper. I mean, Lawrence, from a chairman's point of view, keeping them all happy, obviously you can't keep everyone happy all the time. Is it frustrating sometimes? I mean, there's a lot of support that gets behind you, and then sometimes people moan. It must be frustrating, isn't it, at times?
Yeah.
But does it come with the nature of the job?
Listen, we took over the club 12 years ago, and there's been highs, there's been lows. The fans are an important part. Interestingly, before we go any further, the last game of the season, there was some fans still here. We had, on the last home game of the season, I think we had 1,400 people, a wet Tuesday night and a dead rubber.
Yes.
And there were still 1,400 people here, and that kind of made me think. And a couple of them came up to me and said, look, really, we'd like to thank you for what you're doing for the community and everything like that. And I kind of said, well, no, I'm just one person. It's all of us together collectively do it. And I feel the frustrations that the fans do when we lose. I don't enjoy watching us play because I'm nervous the whole time. I really am.
Well, I've seen you.
I'm a bit the whole time. And get the end of the game, win or lose or something, there's a sense of relief. In fact, I was sitting next to Zane and MJ's family, and I've got my new Apple Watch, and mine, seriously, 125 at 3 o'clock till 5, 2 weeks running, and we're the 2 home games.
Really?
Unbelievable. And I'm not running around, just from watching it. It just...
and that's a personal choice you're putting in
system. Was, Johnny.
As I say, just keeping all the fans happy. You're a fan yourself. I think you've just highlighted that.
I'm a fan myself, and I kind of, in a way, represent the fans. I mean, I always shake the hands of all the players at every game, win or lose. I mean, it was. What was the one you said did it for you? Is when we lost away to Truro.
We went to Braintree, and obviously we were well beat on that night.
Tom, you recognise that one from a fan point of view there.
Braintree, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone has tough days. Every player and every team loses games, but for whatever reason, that Braintree night didn't quite go our way. you walk off the pitch after having lost 4-0 and you don't expect the chairman to be at the door of the tunnel to shake your hand. You sort of expect dead silence. I thought, you know, at the time, I've obviously shared it with the chairman. My opinion of that was, I thought it was quite a nice moment of respect, really, that whatever happens, I think people understand, and supporters will understand as well. It's not through lack of effort that we've lost games ever. Might be through a lack of quality or in defining moments we've conceded and possibly not scored. That's what football's all about, I suppose. But yeah, I just thought obviously when the chairman stood by the changing room door and went to almost thank everyone for their effort, regardless of that effort was quite pathetic on the night. That it was.
But it means the whole thing is we're a community club and we're all in it together, and that's the key to it all. Is we're building this environment where we all feel part of it. I mean, football is a tribal sport, and we're all part of the same, if you like, tribe.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you're the chairman, whether you're the captain, the manager, a fan, or whoever. We're all in this together. We all want to see this football club succeed, grow, and have the success that it. And I think it deserves. I think we deserve success as a football club.
I think it's interesting as well because a lot of people move into St Albans. Perhaps St Albans isn't initially their first club. They may have a bigger club, but they then seem to buy into it and then they can't let it go. That seems to be a sort of a common theme you see about lots of the fans that are here. That it's their adopted club, but it means so much to them as well.
Well, I mean, what's it like, Tom, here? It's as a fan coming down here.
I was just thinking of someone I only know from coming down here, a guy called Chris, who I know you know, massive Sheffield United fan, comes down here, relocates here, didn't quite realise what was going on here. I think you knew him through cycling or whatever, and then now he's messaging me every game. Are you going away? Are you here? Were you there? What was it like if he can't come? If he has to work, he's devastated. He's just, people really do get him.
He's a brilliant. He's an example. He's a football nut.
Yes.
He's from Sheffield. He's a Sheffield United fan, and he just I got to know him through cycling, and he just came down here once or twice, and he just says it's just fantastic. It's the whole buzz of it all.
Yeah. It grabs you.
Yeah.
So would you take St Albans getting the playoffs or England winning the Euros?
Are we going to have more news about stadiums and developments? Where are we with that? Well, we're going to... Joe kept quiet there.
That's the next one.